Hey there, curious minds. Welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into the wonders of the human mind and beyond. Today, we're embarking on a journey into the fascinating world of epistemology. If you've ever pondered over what knowledge truly is, what it means to believe something, or how we justify our beliefs, then you're in the right place. Stick around as we unravel the complexities of epistemology and understand the essence of knowledge and belief. So, let's kick things off by addressing the big question. What exactly is epistemology? Epistemology is a branch of philosophy that deals with the theory of knowledge. It explores the nature, origin, and limits of human knowledge. Essentially, it asks questions like, what is knowledge? How do we acquire it? And how do we know what we know? The term epistemology comes from the Greek words episteme, which means knowledge, and logos, which means study or science. So, epistemology is literally the study of knowledge. Understanding epistemology is crucial because it underpins every other field of inquiry. Whether we're talking about science, ethics, or even daily decision-making, our conception of knowledge influences how we approach and understand these areas. Next up, let's delve into the definition of knowledge. Traditionally, knowledge has been defined as justified true belief. This definition dates back to Plato, one of the great ancient philosophers. But what does justified true belief really mean? To break it down, belief is a mental state where someone thinks that a proposition is true. For example, if I believe that the Earth orbits the Sun, I hold this proposition to be true. But for a belief to count as knowledge, it also needs to be true. If I believe that the Earth is flat, my belief doesn't qualify as knowledge because it's false. Truth, in this context, refers to the state of a proposition accurately reflecting reality. Finally, we have justification. Justification is the evidence or reasoning that supports our belief. For a belief to be considered knowledge, we need to have good reasons or evidence backing it up. So putting it all together, knowledge is a belief that is both true and justified. If I believe that the Earth orbits the Sun, this belief is true, and I have scientific evidence to justify it, therefore it qualifies as knowledge. However, the definition of knowledge as justified true belief isn't without its challenges. In 1963, philosopher Edmund Gettier published a paper that presented a problem for this definition, known as the Gettier problem. Gettier provided examples of situations where individuals had justified true beliefs that were not knowledge. These examples showed that it's possible to have beliefs that meet all the criteria of justified true belief, but still fail to be knowledge. For instance, imagine you have a clock that you know to be reliable, and you look at it to check the time. It says 3 p.m., and you form the belief that it's 3 p.m. Unbeknownst to you, the clock stopped exactly 24 hours ago, so it's actually 3 p.m. purely by coincidence. Your belief is justified and true, but most would argue that you don't really know the time. Gettier's examples suggest that there might be an additional requirement for knowledge beyond justified true belief. But what that requirement is remains a topic of debate among philosophers. Now that we've explored the traditional definition of knowledge, let's look at the different types of knowledge. Philosophers often distinguish between several kinds of knowledge. First, we have propositional knowledge, also known as knowing that. This is the type of knowledge we've been discussing so far, knowledge of facts or propositions. For example, knowing that Paris is the capital of France. Next, there's procedural knowledge, or knowing how. This type of knowledge involves skills or abilities, such as knowing how to ride a bike or play the piano. Procedural knowledge is often more practical and is acquired through practice and experience, rather than mere propositional learning. Lastly, we have experiential knowledge, or knowing by acquaintance. This type of knowledge comes from direct experience or familiarity with something or someone. For instance, knowing a person personally, rather than just knowing facts about them. These different types of knowledge highlight the diverse ways we understand and interact with the world. We've mentioned belief several times, but let's take a closer look at what belief actually is and its role in knowledge. A belief is an attitude that something is the case or that a proposition is true. It's a mental state that reflects our views about the world. Beliefs can be based on various sources, such as perception, memory, testimony, and inference. They can also vary in strength, from tentative suspicions to firm convictions. For a belief to be part of knowledge, it must be true. But having true beliefs alone isn't enough. They also need to be justified. This brings us back to the concept of justification. Justification involves having good reasons for our beliefs. These reasons can come from evidence, logical arguments, or reliable sources. Without justification, our beliefs might be true merely by chance, which wouldn't qualify them as knowledge. So, in summary, beliefs are fundamental to knowledge, but they need to be true and justified to be considered knowledge. Where do our beliefs and knowledge come from? Philosophers have identified several sources of knowledge, each contributing to our understanding of the world. First, we have perception. Perception is our primary source of knowledge about the external world. Through our senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell, we gather information about our surroundings. Second, there's memory. Memory allows us to retain and recall past experiences and information. It's a crucial source of knowledge about our personal history and the world. Third, we have testimony. Much of what we know comes from others. Whether it's books, teachers, or conversations, we rely on the knowledge shared by others to expand our understanding. Lastly, we have reason and inference. Through logical reasoning and inference, we can derive new knowledge from existing information. This is especially important in fields like mathematics and science. Each of these sources has its strengths and limitations, but together they provide a comprehensive picture of how we acquire knowledge. No discussion of epistemology would be complete without addressing skepticism. Skepticism is the view that questions the possibility of knowledge. Skeptics argue that we might not know anything for certain. Skepticism can take many forms. Radical skeptics, for instance, doubt everything, including the existence of the external world. More moderate skeptics might question whether we can have knowledge in specific areas, like metaphysics or ethics. Skepticism challenges us to critically examine our beliefs and the justifications we have for them. While it might seem unsettling, skepticism plays a crucial role in philosophy by pushing us to clarify and strengthen our understanding of knowledge. In response to skepticism, philosophers have proposed various strategies to defend the possibility of knowledge. One common approach is fallibilism. Fallibilism is the view that our knowledge can be imperfect or fallible, yet still count as knowledge. It acknowledges that while we might not have absolute certainty, we can still have reliable and justified beliefs that qualify as knowledge. Another response is the idea of contextualism. Contextualism suggests that the standards for knowledge can vary depending on the context. In everyday situations, our standards for claiming knowledge might be lower than in scientific or philosophical discussions. By recognizing the variability in our standards, contextualism offers a more flexible approach to understanding knowledge. These responses show that while skepticism raises important challenges, it doesn't necessarily undermine the possibility of knowledge altogether. Finally, let's consider why knowledge is valuable. Why do we seek knowledge, and what makes it worth pursuing? Knowledge is valuable for several reasons. First, it helps us navigate the world effectively. Knowing how things work, what to expect, and how to achieve our goals enables us to make better decisions and improve our lives. Second, knowledge contributes to our personal growth and development. It expands our horizons, deepens our understanding, and enriches our experiences. Third, knowledge has intrinsic value. The pursuit of knowledge satisfies our intellectual curiosity and desire for understanding. It's a fundamental aspect of our humanity. In addition to these practical and intrinsic values, knowledge also plays a crucial role in building a just and informed society. It fosters critical thinking, promotes informed decision-making, and supports democratic values. As we delve deeper into the theory of knowledge, we encounter two major schools of thought: rationalism and empiricism. These philosophical approaches offer different perspectives on how we acquire knowledge. Rationalism emphasizes the role of reason and intellectual deduction. Rationalists argue that significant knowledge comes from intellectual and deductive reasoning, rather than sensory experience. Prominent rationalists include philosophers like René Descartes and Immanuel Kant, who believed that certain concepts and knowledge are innate to the human mind. Descartes famously said, "Cogito ergo sum," I think, therefore I am, highlighting the centrality of reason in understanding existence. On the other hand, empiricism argues that all knowledge is derived from sensory experience. Empiricists like John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume believe that the mind at birth is a tabula rasa, a blank slate, shaped by experiences. Locke's theory of knowledge suggests that all ideas come from experience, either through direct sensory input or through reflection on those sensory inputs. Both rationalism and empiricism offer valuable insights, and modern epistemology often incorporates elements from both schools of thought to form a more comprehensive understanding of knowledge. In addition to empirical and rational sources of knowledge, philosophers also explore the concept of a priori knowledge, knowledge that is independent of experience. A priori knowledge is often associated with intuition and self-evident truths. For example, mathematical and logical truths are considered a priori because they can be known through reason alone, without sensory experience. Consider the statement, "All bachelors are unmarried men." This is something we know to be true without needing to conduct an empirical investigation. It is true by definition, a classic example of a priori knowledge. In contrast, a posteriori knowledge is knowledge that depends on empirical evidence. For instance, knowing that the sky is blue requires sensory experience and observation. The distinction between a priori and a posteriori knowledge helps us understand the different ways we come to know things and the foundational role of reason and experience in shaping our understanding of the world. Another fascinating area within epistemology is social epistemology. This branch examines the social dimensions of knowledge, how collective processes, social interactions, and community influences affect what we know. Social epistemologists study the role of testimony, peer disagreement, and the impact of social networks on knowledge dissemination and belief formation. For instance, consider how we often rely on experts and authorities for information. Whether it's medical advice from doctors or scientific findings from researchers, much of what we know comes from the testimony of others. Social epistemology also explores the concept of epistemic injustice, where certain groups are unfairly marginalized in their capacity as knowers. This includes issues like testimonial injustice, where someone's knowledge is disregarded due to prejudice. Understanding the social aspects of knowledge helps us recognize the collaborative nature of human understanding and the importance of fostering inclusive and equitable epistemic practices. As we delve deeper into epistemology, we encounter various theories of truth. These theories attempt to define what it means for a belief or proposition to be true. The correspondence theory of truth is one of the oldest and most intuitive. It suggests that a proposition is true if it corresponds to a fact or reality. For example, the statement "snow is white" is true if, in fact, snow is white. Another prominent theory is the coherence theory of truth. According to this theory, a proposition is true if it coheres or is consistent with a set of beliefs or propositions. Truth is seen as a property of a coherent system of interconnected beliefs. The pragmatic theory of truth, proposed by philosophers like Charles Peirce and William James, argues that a proposition is true if it works or has practical consequences. Truth is viewed in terms of the success of beliefs in guiding action and achieving goals. Lastly, the deflationary theory of truth suggests that the concept of truth is not a substantial property, but rather a linguistic convenience. According to this view, saying, "It is true that snow is white," is no different than simply saying, "Snow is white." Each of these theories offers a different perspective on truth, and understanding them helps us navigate the complexities of determining what is true and why it matters. In addition to exploring the nature and sources of knowledge, epistemologists also examine the qualities and habits that contribute to good or bad epistemic practices. These are known as epistemic virtues and vices. Epistemic virtues are traits that promote the acquisition, retention, and dissemination of knowledge. Examples include open-mindedness, intellectual humility, curiosity, and diligence. These virtues help individuals seek truth and avoid error. Conversely, Epistemic vices are traits that hinder our epistemic endeavors. These include closed-mindedness, intellectual arrogance, laziness, and wishful thinking. Such vices can lead to ignorance, misinformation, and poor reasoning. By cultivating epistemic virtues and avoiding epistemic vices, we enhance our ability to navigate the world, make informed decisions, and contribute positively to our collective understanding. Reflecting on our own epistemic habits and striving to improve them is a valuable exercise that can lead to better knowledge practices and a more informed society. While epistemology might seem like an abstract philosophical pursuit, it has practical implications for our everyday lives. The way we think about knowledge and belief influences our decisions, actions, and interactions. Consider how we evaluate information in the digital age. With the vast amount of information available online, critical thinking and epistemic vigilance are crucial. We need to assess the credibility of sources, recognize biases, and avoid falling for misinformation. Epistemology also plays a role in education. Teaching students how to think critically, evaluate evidence, and form justified beliefs is a fundamental goal of education. These skills are essential for lifelong learning and informed citizenship. In our personal lives, epistemology helps us navigate complex social and ethical issues. By understanding the basis of our beliefs and being open to revising them, we can engage in more meaningful and constructive dialogues. Ultimately, epistemology equips us with the tools to better understand ourselves and the world around us. It encourages us to seek truth, question assumptions, and strive for a deeper and more accurate understanding of reality. And there you have it, a comprehensive introduction to epistemology. We've explored the nature of knowledge, the role of belief, the sources of knowledge, and the challenges posed by skepticism. Understanding epistemology helps us appreciate the complexity of human knowledge and the efforts we make to justify our beliefs. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on epistemology and any topics you'd like us to cover next. Until next time, keep questioning and stay curious.